This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and welcome to our live feed here. And we are ending eating disorders using nothing but your brain. And we are talking about binge eating. We're talking about overeating. We're talking about bulimia. We're talking about the food crazies, the food obsession, thinking about it all the time. We're talking about yo-yo dieting and body hate and emotional eating, stress eating, all those. The food shoes. That's what I call food issues. Get it? Little mashup word there. Yes, we are ending all of those using nothing but your brain. And hello, guys. So fun to see you on. We are going to be talking about a really important concept to know about in general, but then specifically how it relates with yo-yo dieting and the diet industry in general. So we are going to be talking about the gaslighting diet industry. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term gaslighting, this is actually made popular by a film that took place back in the day when people, used gas lights as opposed to electricity. And it was about a woman in an emotionally abusive relationship where her partner was telling her that the gas lights were not flickering, right? And she was seeing them flicker. Like, she was seeing these lights flicker. He's like, no, they're not. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so he was making her seem crazy by, even though she was in touch with the reality, then she had this feeling of like, oh, I'm crazy because this person is telling me that what I know to be reality, what I feel strongly is not correct. Now, this term became so popular, that resonated in such a big way, because it is a very common element of emotionally abusive relationships. And for all of us who have been in emotionally abusive relationships, a lot of times you start to feel crazy, like that you have something off, but it's actually the abuser that is using this gaslighting, which a lot of times people don't understand the term for. It's something that happens in an abusive dynamic, but it's really important to have language. So if any of you are in a relationship like that, where you have this feeling of like, oh, like, am I crazy? And why do I feel so confused? And why are they always right and I'm always wrong? There are important elements to understand here. So if that's the case, this is going to be helpful for you to understand. But then the diet industry is also like, gaslighting is a big part of their business model. That's like what they do, right? So let's talk about how it works in both those contexts. So that's where the term gaslighting came from. Gaslighting in a relationship, in an emotionally abusive relationship. I'll give you guys a couple of examples here. So it's when you feel strong internal feelings, but then you're being told by an external source, a lot of times like a partner that is the emotional abuser, that they're telling you otherwise with what you know and feel within yourself. So it might be something as simple as, they come home really late and you're like, oh, like, I was, so worried and I haven't been able to get in touch with you, and is everything okay? And they're like, I told you I was going to be late. Like, I told you, like, we talked about this. You said, yeah, that's fine. And this would be in the case where like that didn't actually happen, right? So like, you were never told that. And then you are being told from this external source, like, you said it was great. You agreed to it. You said, yeah, just stay out however late you want, right? And it can be with any sort of element like that. So it can be, you are being told what you said, how you felt, what you're experiencing, and it seems dissonant to the truth of your experience because that didn't happen. You didn't agree to that. You didn't acknowledge that. You weren't told that, right? But this being brought up over and over, this emotional abuse, starts making the person who's being abused feel crazy, because it's like, that's so weird that I keep on forgetting what I agreed to. That's so strange that I keep on forgetting what I've been told. And so we start disbelieving ourselves more and more, and like, we can't trust ourselves. I know that when I've in an emotionally abusive relationship that I was in, I would start like writing notes to myself of like, that's so weird. Like, I feel so crazy that I don't remember any of these things that this person said. So I'd like start writing notes to myself and like start writing quotes of things that they said, just so like I could, like, it's so weird that my memory is so bad. But the reality is that it was just an emotionally abuse, not just, I don't want to like put a just in, like it was a horrible thing, but it was an emotionally abusive relationship, and gaslighting is what was going on in that relationship. So it could be how you feel and think and, are being told that, or how they keep on switching what they think or feel, right? So they might say something like, you know what, I'm totally through with, my relationship with this other person, right? So let's say that you're in a committed relationship and they're maybe spending a lot of time and having like an emotional connection with someone else, and they're like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I know that's not a good thing. I know that that's something that's hurting our relationship. Like, I'm going to, be done with that. And so you hear that, you hear the reality of what they're saying to you. And then they go back on that, right? That's the gaslighting. That's like the crazy making of, all of a sudden they come home and they've spent lots of time with this person they told you that they weren't going to spend time with. You're like, oh, I thought that, you were done with that relationship and that you were going to focus on our relationship and that you wanted to keep going, with us being together. And then they're like, oh, well, no, like I never said that. And like, how could you think that? And like, no, I wouldn't do that if I just told you, that I wasn't going to do that. So again, they told you one thing and they told you a completely other thing. And then they're saying you're the one that is crazy because you're not remembering it correctly. So that's how gaslighting works. There are lots of different elements of how that can happen. You guys feel free. Like, I know that a lot of us have been in emotionally abusive relationships and otherwise. Feel free to share your experiences with gaslighting, in the chat here. Hi, it's so fun to see you guys on. That's really helpful for people to see more experiences around it from real life. Because when you're in a relationship and you feel crazy, unless you have some language, like knowing what gaslighting is and understanding like, oh, okay, like I'm not crazy. This is just how I'm being treated to be made to feel this way. Then with that knowledge and understanding, then you can see what's happening. You can get out of it. You can improve your life. Like having language around different kinds of abuse is very valuable that way, because you're able to know you're not alone. You're able to know there's a term for it. You're able to understand what's happening. So really, really powerful there. Now, what happens with the diet industry is the diet industry is constantly gaslighting us. Like that is the business model of the diet industry. And the diet industry is a patriarchal industry, like it perpetuates itself, right? It's incredibly oppressive and dismissive and abusive to women. Like, I know that, there may be some people that disagree if you do your research and understand what's going on. Like, it's quite obvious that is the case. But the diet industry is a $66 billion industry. And it's essentially propped up by the return customers of especially women over and over and over because of this model of gaslighting. So again, revisiting that, it's having your strong internal feelings and then being told otherwise. For instance, you want to lose weight, right? That's what you want to do. You want to do something that works. You see lots of advertising for whatever diet is going to be popular right then, right? If it was in the 80s, it was don't eat any fat. If it was nowadays, it's don't have any carbs. It's just like, okay, so isn't that interesting, right? So that's one element of gaslighting is the diet industry will keep on saying different information with you're the crazy one feeling of like, no, like this is the way to lose weight. This is the way to do it. You cut out all the carbs. When just a decade ago or two, they were just like, oh, that's the way to do it. You cut out all the fat. They're saying something that is so completely opposite, but then it's like, well, you're the crazy one. Like you're the one who wasn't doing it the right way. Like this is the right way to do it. So you have an experience of like, well, I was trying so hard to do the right thing, to do what you told me to do, and then the target keeps changing, of like, it's another form of emotional abuse, of the moving target, right? Of just like, you can never do anything right because the target keeps on moving. We could probably do like a whole life feed on all the different elements of emotional abuse and how the diet industry puts those into play to take the money, time, and health of women all around the world. But we're focusing on gaslighting right now, right? So then you have the experience, right? So you go on the diet, you try to do everything just exactly how you should. You are expecting the result of the losing the weight, of the keeping it off, just what the, flashy advertisement or banner on, social media was telling you would happen. And then you have strong feelings. You have an internal experience and like a true like physical experience of, it got harder and harder and harder to stick to the diet, and then I stopped losing weight, and then I actually gained back the weight really, really quickly. And you have a feeling and experience of it doesn't work. And it seems very obvious to you, right? So if you just trusted yourself and thought that you were a sane person, you would be like, oh, I tried that and it didn't work. So I tried to restrict these foods. It actually created more cravings for those foods. I tried to not eat those at all. I actually started binging on those. I tried to lose weight. I did lose some weight, but then it came back very, very quickly, like phenomenally quickly, like way, way faster than it took to lose it. I'm trying to do absolutely everything right, but it's getting harder and harder. That is the true experience of dieting. 98% of the time. Like, this is a really clear thing. The dieting doesn't work. And we can tell that from our true experience. But then the diet industry, instead of saying, oh yeah, that doesn't work. Yes, that's actually, you've dieted your way up 100 pounds. This is the reason that you have an autoimmune disorder. This is the reason that you are insulin resistant. This is the reason that it's messed with your hormones and actually made it so you're teaching your body to gain weight. Instead of saying like, oh yeah, that is the reality. What the diet industry does is it's the gaslighting of, you have your own true experience, and then you're told by the diet industry, that's not the case. You're crazy. You're totally crazy. That's just you. No, it's just about self-control. If you just tried a little harder, if you just had more self-control, if you just had this other bonus pill that now we're selling, if you just did this other diet that we're selling, if you just did this other thing to try to fix your brokenness because you can't stick to something so simple like this diet, you'd be fine. But no, this is nothing to do with the diet. This is 100% to do with you. You are the crazy one. You are the failure. You are the one that has no self-control. You are the reason why it doesn't work. The system is perfect. Dieting works. You can lose it. You can keep it off. It is you that is crazy. And then, just like the person being abused in an emotionally abusive relationship, then you start blaming yourself and thinking that you're crazy. Like, wow, it must be me. You're right, I should be able to stick with it. You're right, it's like the diet is fine, like it's me that's the problem. Okay, where do I sign? How much do I need to pay so that I can do another diet industry? Over and over and over. So you do a second diet, you have the same experience. I lost some weight, I gained it all back plus some. It's like my relationship with food is worse than ever. But, oh, the diet industry says it has nothing to do with the diet, it has to do with me. So I better try again and again and again. And just like and that's an overall 98% failure rate of this happens. Lose it and then gain it back plus some. And then your metabolism just doesn't allow you to lose it anymore. Like, dieting is teaching your body to store fat, to gain weight, to be permanently heavier for the rest of your life. Dieting is the exact opposite of what is advertised to be. It is advertised as lose the weight and keep it off. The reality is that dieting teaches your body to permanently store fat, gain weight, and be heavier than ever. Like, if somebody, that was their goal of I really want to be twice my size for the rest of my life in a very solid, permanent way where it's very difficult to lose weight, where I never have to worry about losing any of this weight that I've gained, then they should do exactly what the diet industry is telling them to. Because think of the crazy making of getting the exact opposite result of what you signed up for. You signed up for losing the weight and keeping it off and being healthier. You have instead gained it all back plus some and are less healthy than ever. And think of how strong that gaslighting has to be, that we blame ourselves every single time and then we go back to it over and over and over. Even with the extremely strong personal internal evidence of, as soon as I try to cut out sugar, my cravings for sugar go crazy. As soon as I tell myself that I can't ever have sugar again, I start binging on it. As soon as I tell myself that I'm going to keep the weight off this time and I'm going to go on a diet, then I gain it all back plus some. I'm heavier than ever. We can look back at doing this, being gaslit over and over and over multiple times a year for 40 years. And we can see, like, oh, I'm 50 or 100 pounds heavier than I was. My health is much worse than it was. I have gained all of this weight over all of this time. And what I've been doing this whole time is dieting. We are smart, logical people that can put that together. But the diet industry is so strong in its $66 billion advertising gaslighting that it convinces us over and over and over, what? No, you're just crazy. No, it's you. Like, we're not doing anything. We're just trying to show you how to be healthy. Wow, you must be really crazy. Wow, you must have no self-control. Wow, you must be like really, really broken. Because it's working for everyone else. You're the only person that it isn't working for. Look at all of our Photoshop digitally altered 17-year-olds that are Photoshopped so they look like breast implanted 14-year-olds. Like, you could look like that. You 55-year-old woman that is 250 pounds, you could look like this 14-year-old with large breasts if you just tried hard enough, if you just had willpower, if you just did what we were telling you to do. That could be you. You could be happy like her. Like, that is the message, that even though we logically know that is insane. Like, doing this diet is not going to shave 50 years off of your life. Like, it's not going to make you look like this model. It's not like, there's no amount of willpower that is going to make you look like not even what models look like. Models need to be photoshopped, because not even human beings that are hired for the shape and size of their body have bodies that match up to what the advertising needs to gaslight you strongly enough. Like, that is what we are going into every single, I mean, it happens over and over, right? Like, January is a really big time, and then everyone fails on their diet. And so then, like, March is a really big time because, like, they do this other diet, right? It's like, keep drinking the same poison. And then everyone, is gaining weight over the summer. And then it's like, oh, before the holidays. And as you get back and, kids are back in school and you've got more of a routine, then you need to do this diet again. Like, this is over and over and over all year. Like, for years and decades. Like, people spend their entire lives. So the average 40-year-old woman has already spent $40,000 to diets that do not work, that have only made her heavier and more miserable and less healthy. And then when you put an eating disorder on top of that, which the number one cause of eating disorders is restrictive dieting. So know that it's not only the diets that the diet industry is selling you. It's literally like this machine to create eating disorders, which of course makes people even more desperate to go on diets. Isn't that a great business model? And so that was sarcasm, by the way. Well, no, it wasn't. I don't do sarcasm very well. No, it is a great business model. It's not a moral business model, but it's a very effective business model to keep selling people poison and then more poison as medicine for the first results of the poison. Like, that's where $66 billion diet industry comes from. Like, exactly. So with that, people, like, once you add a eating disorder to that, like, the average American has about $3 million of wealth go through their world, like their personal world in their entire life, right? And that sounds like a lot, but if you break that down over, like 75, 85 years, right? It's just like that's sort of the average that goes through someone's life. An eating disorder A 40-year eating disorder, which is, we specialize in helping people who have struggled for over 40 years. And it is not an uncommon span of time. It's not like, oh, this small portion of people who have struggled for over 40 years. There are tons and tons and tons of people out there that have struggled with an eating disorder for over 40 years. And they probably called it yo-yo dieting for 10 years, and then they called it food addiction for 10 years, and then they called it an eating disorder for another 10 years, and they called it I don't even know what's wrong with me for another 10 years, but it's been the same thing they've been struggling with for 40 years. That ends up costing over $1 million, $1 million, a third of the entire wealth that would go through someone's world in their lifetime is literally being put down the drain, is being wasted on something that was set up to fail. And the only way that that business works, that with what the diet industry does, is with very strong gaslighting. Being able to convince you where everything inside of you tells you this doesn't work. Everything inside of you is showing you like this is just hurting us. Like your heart and your soul and your mind, like it's all saying like, no, that's never worked. Like this is miserable. Don't do it again. And the diet industry convinces us to just say, oh, just one last diet, just one last diet. I've got to make it work this time. I'm so messed up. I'm so broken. I have no willpower. I've just got to get it together this one last time because it's 100% squarely my fault that it's not working. It's not your fault that diets are failing. Diets are created to fail. Diets make money because you fail over and over and then feel so strongly that it was you that you need another diet to fix it. And it doesn't work. And it's this temporary, like if your body can still lose weight from a diet, which it will get harder and harder to do that. Remember how easy it was to lose 20 pounds before and how like back-breakingly difficult and extreme it has to be to lose it now? That's because you are teaching your body to be more and more resistant to losing weight. Dieting will do that. Destroys your metabolism, like your hormones, like all sorts of things. We have whole live feeds on that. But that's all to say that you do it over and over and over because it's this temporary like, oh, look, it's working. I'm losing weight. And then when we gain it all back plus some, then we're like, oh, I failed. The diet worked. But it was all the diet. The gaining it all back plus some, the crazy cravings, the binge eating, the I have no self-control, the why can't I stop, the why is my weight going up so quickly, that's part of the diet. It's the part that gets you to go back and do another diet. That's it. So it's important to understand gaslighting in general, right? Like it's an important term to emotionally be able to see what's happening in the health of a relationship, because that is an element of emotional abuse. But sometimes we'll say, it's not okay that somebody in this relationship treats me this way, and then we leave. But then we stay with the industries that treat us that way, like the diet industry. That's not okay. It's not okay. You can leave them too, You can leave the diet industry. That's what we help people to do every single day, is leave the industry that is abusing you and get your life back. And guess what? Oh man, this is so fun, because that's what we get to hear every single day. Wow, I'm so happy to know that I'm not broken. This is so incredible. Like people with tears in their eyes saying like, I'm not broken. I'm not crazy. It was never me the whole time. Like I'm free. Like it's such a cool thing. It's so incredibly fun to know that you were not broken and you were not crazy. You were just in an abusive relationship with the diet industry. And then I want to wrap up with really talking about one of the most awful kinds of emotional abuse is when it's happened for so long that we start doing it to ourselves. Instead of somebody putting us in a cage, we maintain our own cages. We make sure that the locks are tight. We make sure that we never go out. If somebody opens the door, we don't even wander out, because we have become our own abusers. And it's through the cycle of being gaslit by the diet industry over and over and over that we start having the experience where we're gaslighting ourselves. So I'll give you a really common experience for especially those who are struggling with like these cycles of eating that are so damaging and lethal. I will not binge. I will not eat sugar. I wake up in the morning, I have a healthy breakfast. I have a healthy lunch. I don't even have a desire to eat things that will hurt me and make me bigger and make me gain weight. I want to be healthy. I don't want to eat sugar. I am a healthy person. That's what we tell ourselves, right? So the gaslighting is you have an internal experience and you are being told otherwise, but we start doing this to ourselves. And then all of a sudden in the evening time, it's, no, I really do want sugar. I really do love sugar. I really do feel out of control with sugar. I really do have to have it. I'll have it just this one last time. I don't know what I was thinking earlier in the day when I thought that I couldn't have it. Of course, I have to have it. Like, I can't go to bed tonight until I have it. And then we feel so much guilt over the fact that we've had that back and forth within ourselves. At the next morning, then we're trying even harder and we're starting the cycle over again. So we literally start to not to distrust ourselves, where we really have like a crazy internal experience where we're having the desires and the thoughts within ourself say things that are completely opposite than what we thought before on a daily basis. I feel like a different person when I wake up in the morning than after I've binged and I go to bed at night. I feel like I'm two people. I feel like people know me as this way, but I'm actually this way. Like that does. It feels crazy. Like it's crazy in there, inside your brain. I've been there. I really did feel crazy. I'm like, how on earth am I one person and I have these completely opposite desires? And it's through the repeated like crazy making of the diet industry that turns into our own internal crazy. And I want you to know you can be done with that. You can be free of it. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You are worthy of freedom. You are worthy of joy. You are worthy of being able to feel like you are one complete whole person and not hurting yourself and knowing that you've been lied to. Like, we've had a lot of amazing clients and grads that go through an anger phase. Angry they were lied to by the diet industry for so long. Angry that they believed all of these lies that have taken 30, 25, 45, 65 years of their life. Like, and then they are in a deep gratitude for finally being free of it. But it's understandable to feel angry after being lied to and after, being in that dynamic for so long where you've been gaslit, where you've literally paid the diet industry to hurt you. You've literally paid the diet industry to put another 10 pounds and another 10 pounds on your frame. You've literally paid the diet industry to lose years of your life. It's a bad deal for you, for us. It's a great deal for the diet industry. So if you want something different, like if you want to finally not only know how to be out of the cycle of being gaslit by the diet industry, but then actually have a solution where you have a calm and a neutral and a non-issue relationship with food, where you can feel like the same person when you wake up in the morning as when you go to bed at night, when you trust yourself, when you feel sane and happy and healthy, and you can actually be those things and not just think that you are, but actually be those things. Then the first step is you want to go to lifewithlydia.com/apply, and you want to book a free breakthrough session. And a lot of times these breakthroughs are from the lies that you have been believing, right? And it's like you have more options once you get free. It's a wonderful thing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to support you on that breakthrough session to get the foundation of freedom so you can be super clear on next steps of how to solve this and to be able to have that foundation of freedom so that you can do what you want to with your life. And that is a free service that we do. What you do is you go to lifewithlydia.com/apply. Again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply, and you can book a free breakthrough session. We oftentimes get booked very quickly, so be sure to snag a spot. Just the first one that you see. If you haven't seen our free masterclass, we'll send you a link to that as soon as you book your breakthrough session so you can be well prepared. This will be some of the best time that you've ever spent on your freedom and your life and you. And you deserve that. You deserve that time. You deserve that care. You deserve that attention. You deserve that freedom. Like, that is something that you deserve in life. And you can have that. You've just got to get out of the relationship that's hurting you and into one that's actually going to be one where you can build trust with yourself. So again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. And this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, signing off. Bye guys. Mwah.